In the bunker living room, peaceful is never the default setting. It's more like a rumor that occasionally wanders through the neighborhood and immediately turns around. Archie Bunker sits like a self-appointed gatekeeper of reality, the kind of man who believes the world should come with an instruction manual written in bold letters, preferably by someone who agrees with him. Edith floats around him with that gentle, well-meaning patience that somehow survives every storm. And then there's Gloria and Mike. Young, hopeful, stubborn in a way that's both admirable and guaranteed to set Archie off like a car alarm in a quiet street. The big news, the kind that should bring warmth and family unity, arrives with all the subtlety of a marching band. Gloria is pregnant. For any other family, this would be the moment for soft smiles and happy tears. For the Bunkers, it becomes a full-scale debate about everything: biology, tradition, faith, manners, and the alarming modern idea that husbands might actually be present when babies are born. Archie doesn't just dislike the idea. He treats it like a scandalous new hobby the neighbors are doing in the front yard. He can't process it as support. He hears it as spectator sport. And in his mind, nothing about childbirth is meant to be witnessed by a husband, let alone described in a calm, reasonable tone. Gloria, however, isn't asking permission. She's announcing a plan. She wants a natural birth, and Mike wants to be there with her. Not in the waiting room pacing like an anxious cartoon character, actually in the delivery room. To Archie, this sounds like a man signing up to watch a thunderstorm from inside the lightning. He reacts the way he always does when life changes without his approval. First with disbelief, then with outrage, and finally with a confident declaration that everyone else is the crazy one. Mike tries to keep it civilized, because he's learned that arguing with Archie is like trying to teach a rooster to whisper. Edith tries to soften the edges, explaining that times change, that some fathers want to be present, that it's part of being supportive. Archie hears supportive and translates it into weak, because in his mental dictionary, anything that involves feelings is automatically suspicious. Still, Gloria doesn't back down. She and Mike talk about it like a team. They're not just preparing for a baby. They're preparing to become their own household, with their own decisions, something Archie finds deeply offensive, as if independence is a personal insult directed at him. And just as the childbirth debate is warming up like a kettle on the stove, Archie gets hit by another crisis, this one entirely inside his head, which is often the most dangerous place in the house. Archie becomes convinced he has a serious illness. Not the kind where you take a nap and drink something warm. No, in Archie's mind, it's the kind where everyone should panic immediately and form a committee. He's heard something, or he's been near someone who knew someone, and now he's certain he's caught something dreadful. He turns the living room into a war room, declaring himself both the patient and the expert. Edith, naturally, tries the reasonable approach: call the doctor. She leaves messages, struggling with the timing of the recording, politely repeating their address, apologizing to the machine as if it might take offense. Archie watches this and decides modern technology is another conspiracy designed to waste his time. The phone system beeps, and Archie acts like the beep itself is disrespectful. He grabs the phone, determined to do things the right way, which usually means the loud way. Unable to wait, Archie takes matters into his own hands. He decides he needs medical attention immediately, and if the regular doctor won't appear on command like a magician, Archie will go somewhere else. He heads toward a clinic, one of those places he doesn't trust because it doesn't match his old-school idea of how the world should look. In Archie's universe, free clinic sounds like questionable, and questionable sounds like dangerous. But fear is a powerful motivator, and Archie's fear always comes with a side order of attitude. At the clinic, Archie meets the kind of orderly system he hates most: a waiting line. He doesn't see a line as fairness. He sees it as an insult to his importance. He tries to jump ahead, declaring his case an emergency with the dramatic flair of a man auditioning for a medical soap opera. The nurse, unimpressed, treats him like every other person who believes they're the exception to the rules. Archie protests. He complains. He argues. People around him don't react with shock. They react with the tired calm of folks who have seen this exact performance before. Then, of course, comes the twist that makes Archie's day even more complicated. The doctor. A real doctor. Calm. Professional. Not at all intimidated by Archie's volume. Archie tries to control the conversation, telling his story like a man building a case in court. He explains how it started, how he was near someone, how something happened, how he's sure it must be the worst possible outcome. Archie's logic is always a chain made of mismatched links, but he wears it like a badge. He believes that if he connects enough dramatic dots, the doctor must agree. The doctor examines him and responds with something Archie isn't prepared for: reality. Not the kind Archie enjoys. The doctor doesn't buy the panic. He doesn't feed the hysteria. He listens, explains, and does what professionals do: reduces chaos and effects. Archie, however, is emotionally invested in his diagnosis. Being told it's not likely doesn't comfort him. It frustrates him. If he isn't dying dramatically, then what has he been complaining for? Archie wants validation. He wants to be right. He wants the world to confirm that his fear, and therefore his anger, was justified. Meanwhile, back in the family orbit, the childbirth issue is still simmering. Gloria's pregnancy isn't just a family event. It's a cultural showdown inside a small living room. Archie keeps dragging in big ideas. Religion, tradition, what men should do, like he's building a fortress out of old sayings. He references faith with the certainty of a man who believes that if something is difficult to explain, it must be correct. Gloria challenges him with questions that make too much sense. Why would a loving system demand suffering? Why would rules exist that contradict themselves? Archie doesn't answer with logic. He answers with authority. To Archie, faith often means stop asking questions. Gloria is not the type to stop asking. Mike isn't either. Their modern outlook drives Archie crazy because it refuses to sit politely in the corner. It speaks up. It pushes back. It asks Archie to justify things he's never had to justify before. Archie's response is to throw jokes like bricks, to mock the idea of modern husbands, to act like compassion is a trend that will fade if he ridicules it long enough. But the truth beneath all the shouting is simple. Everyone is scared, just in different ways. Gloria is stepping into motherhood and wants control over her experience. Mike wants to support her and be part of the moment that changes their lives. Edith wants peace, love, and family closeness, the way she always does, even when it feels like she's trying to hug a hurricane. And Archie is terrified of losing the world he understands. He covers that fear with jokes, rules, and loud certainty. If he can declare something wrong, then he doesn't have to admit he's uncertain. The humor in all of it comes from how intensely Archie reacts to things that are, in the bigger picture, part of life's natural rhythm. A baby is coming. Families evolve. People try new approaches. Medicine is sometimes boringly rational. Yet Archie treats every change like it's the opening battle of a long war. He can't simply say, "I don't get it." He has to say, "This is ridiculous," because ridicule feels safer than vulnerability. And still, through the bickering, the misunderstandings, the dramatic health scares, the clinic chaos, and the endless arguments about what's proper, there's an odd kind of family glue holding everything together. They drive each other crazy, yes. They clash like mismatched weather systems, yes. But they show up. They talk. They argue. They stay in the same room, even when it would be easier to walk away. And in the Bunker household, that might be the closest thing to love anyone's going to admit out loud. By the end of it, the pregnancy remains real, the delivery plan remains a point of contention, and Archie's medical panic is brought back down to earth by professionals who don't have time for his theatrics. Archie hasn't become modern, and Gloria hasn't become quiet. Mike hasn't stopped believing in partnership, and Edith hasn't stopped trying to make everyone feel okay. The family doesn't transform into a perfect picture. They remain exactly what they are: loud, complicated, stubborn, and strangely connected. Because in this house, progress doesn't arrive as a smooth, inspiring speech. It arrives as an argument. It arrives as a joke that lands a little too close to the truth. It arrives as a stubborn young couple insisting on doing things their way. And it arrives as Archie Bunker, grumbling, protesting, denying, still sitting at the center of it all, acting like he's the referee of the universe, while life keeps proving day after day that the universe does not take requests.